Hi, welcome to Family Law Friday, presented by Florida Women's Law Group. My name is Betsy Corbett, and I'm in the marketing department. Family Law Friday is designed to be a resource for all women with a family law issue. Today, we will be discussing getting divorced when it's called a gray divorce, when you're maybe in your 50s or you've been married for 20 plus years. And a pretty surprising statistic is that divorce on its own has been on the decline, but for people in their 50s, it's doubled, and people in their 60s, it's tripled in the last 10 years. So this is definitely something that's happening. But before we get started, I wanted to give you some information about our host, Heather Quick. Heather is the founder and owner of Florida Women's Law Group that advocates for women in North Florida. The firm educates and empowers women on the law so that they can find the strength to endure the process and end up better both financially and emotionally. She's been a licensed Florida attorney for the last 20 years, with the majority of her practice being in family law. Please join me in welcoming Heather Quick to Family Law Friday.
Thank you, Betsy. And I'm looking forward to talking about this topic. It's shocking, I know, the statistics as they are now, but it is something we have been seeing in the area of family law and divorce for quite some time. There are a lot of reasons for it, which I'll go into that, but mainly it's been a long marriage, and a lot of times, we can do traditionally, okay, the husband has reached a certain level of financial success and wants, a young wife. I mean, come on, like, it's not that still doesn't happen, and we all know it does. That's really hard, and I know it's difficult to believe that's what's going, that happens and that can happen to you, but it does. And that tends to have built over the years because, the two of you grow apart, or there may be issues in the marriage. But regardless, I think it really has to do with, whether it is the husband, his age, a midlife crisis, or there's just that. I think there is something about when men begin to reach that age and they question, what their own mortality. Sometimes maybe their parents pass away, and then all of a sudden they're like, what am I doing? I don't know all the psychology. I've seen a lot of it, and I, have my own theories. But regardless, it happens. Now, what I do believe the data shows is more women than men file for divorce in the gray divorce, the over 50 and over 60. And that is, I think, in many reasons, because divorce is definitely more common and acceptable than it was 30 years ago. And it's easier to imagine yourself being divorced and like living on your own. I think you can say, all right, I can do this, especially if, and the idea is, hey, your finances have improved. You're at a different stage of life, and there's enough. And it's like, hey, I've put in my time, and I do not want to really be in this relationship anymore. And that could be, I think there's so many factors. And one, in general, if you think about it, after 30-year marriage, they have kids, they've left the house. And even if you've both worked or you have more time, many times that void of the busyness of children leaves you just with your partner, and you're thinking, I mean, I don't know if I want to be with you anymore. Like, maybe now that we have to spend so much time together, we don't really want to be. And that can be very difficult to hear and to think about, but it's true. And it's a similar thing. The empty nester type situation is very similar to retirement. If all of a sudden your husband retires and has all this time, and you're both home, and you really haven't maybe stayed connected all these years of marriage, it may be difficult. You two may just have moved so far apart, you can't even reconnect. You may want to travel, you're still active, you feel great. Your husband's health may have deteriorated. Maybe he doesn't want to do anything. And and potentially, gone into depression. Many men, we talked before, and you've watched the other videos where we talk about your identity, and their identity has been wrapped up in their role in the workforce and as an executive or a business owner, and that is gone. They don't know what to do. And unfortunately, you can't always fix that. I think we as women really tend to maybe stay into a relationship a little bit too long because you, one, hold out hope that he'll return to the individual that he used to be, but you also see the potential, and that he can be. And it's like, where's the man I married? Because now 35 years later, like, I don't want to be with this person anymore. That's just the reality. And also, if you're going to live another 25, just say 20 to 25 years, which is very common. I mean, people are living so much longer, especially women. Majority of us outlive our husbands. And you're thinking, all right, I'm approaching 60. I am not doing another 20 years like this. And I've heard that more than one time from a client. And I respect that. And I don't disagree. You still feel great. You look great. You're like, I'm just going to go do what I want to do. I'd rather be alone than be with this person and be lonely and feel like he's just waiting, for us to get older or die. And that can be a real issue, a reality for so many women. And one of the things, the biggest issue when we are looking at a gray divorce, 50, 60 years old, okay, if he's already retired, whatever's coming in, that's just property. So that income will be divided between the two of you, essentially, because it's a property division. Versus if he is still working, then there's going to be alimony. You guys have been married long enough. If he's got income, you don't, or his is more, we're going to deal with alimony, and it's going to be permanent alimony. That is a big issue, but it's a pretty much a given if you've been married over 17 years, and depending on the age, education, and the situation financially with the two of you. But alimony is going to be a big issue, and we're going to be looking at dividing retirement assets. And, even if, you've both worked, whoever's got more, and it may be you, it's going to have to, be divided. And if you're thinking, hey, I am in my early 50s, I'm the executive, he's ready to, shut it down and not do anything, but my prime earning is ahead of me, but I don't know that I want to take him with me, you need to call us. Because I know you don't want to split it now, but you really don't want to split it after you've even added more to it. And ladies, your husbands may be thinking the same thing. So this is not just exclusive to women. It's just the reality. And and that's what we're here to talk about. Like, what are these issues you're facing, and what are you thinking about? Well, and I know many men and women would rather stay in a relationship than divide the assets. Okay, that's your call. I'm certainly not going to, convince you one way or another. I'm just here to guide you through the process. But if you're thinking, well, maybe I'll just wait till we retire, I would encourage you to talk to us, because let's look at that financially and how that looks now versus later. And it may be more painful later, even though you think it's more painful now. And, those are certainly issues that come up. The health and vitality of each party is a big thing. And sometimes one or the other of you is just not willing to be the other's caregiver. And I know that sounds cold, but I see it all the time. And I'm not advocating one way or another. I'm just helping you understand, if you're in this situation, or if you know somebody in this situation, you're not alone. And it's okay. It is okay there. I'm not, there's no judgment here, and there is no requirement in the law that you stay married. And many times, a reason that you wouldn't want to be is probably based on a lot of things that have happened over many, many years. And you know, I know you've been watching these videos, and I'm pretty sure I've talked about it before at some point or another. The longer you stay in a bad marriage, the greater your resentment. And that only hurts you. And then when you finally make the decision, you're so resentful and so angry that it's unhealthy. So it's just something to be aware. The more aware we are of our feelings and our status in our relationship, the better decisions I think you can make. So if you're approaching that age or worried, certainly there are a lot of different issues that can come up. I do recommend counseling. And one thing that I have noticed, and I have said on many occasions, certainly not medically trained or a therapist, there are a lot of biological things that happen with all of us with age. I think that in a lot of these cases, there may be some physiological issues with blood levels and hormones that can help you. So if you're feeling this way, I strongly encourage you to go to a medical doctor, because as we age, so many things change, and there may be some great hormone supplements that can really, truly change the way you feel and the way you present yourself. Can you encourage your husband to do so? If so, I would. Their cortisol levels drop, their testosterone, so much can happen physiologically that frankly changes their whole personality. And if you see these behavioral changes, I've heard it so often, and I don't know what it is, something happens to so many men when they're approaching, 60 or around that age. And of course you can't make them, but that's something I discussed with many women. Like, that may be it, but if they don't listen to you, or they're not willing to try to fix themselves, or at least inquire, there's not a whole lot you can do. And then you're looking at it, how long am I going to live with a person who is so moody, maybe depressed, angry, and just doesn't want to enjoy? This is like what everybody works so hard for, to be in retirement, enjoy that time together. And it's really sad. And I know those are emotions you feel if you're getting there and you're thinking, oh my gosh, if this is what it's going to be, no, thank you. If that's the way you're feeling, or somebody who's in that situation, you're not alone. There are many women who are going through this exact thing. Clearly, Betsy told you the statistics. Divorce in couples over 60 years old have tripled. I've seen it. We definitely have. And so clearly there are a lot of things that maybe you're willing to settle for or put up with in your 30s and your 40s. Your 50s, you're like not so sure. By your 60s, you're like, I'm done. I am not going to do this, continue this. And if that's the case for you or anyone you know, we are here for you. That's the reason, I built this firm, so that women like you have a place to come and tell us what you're wanting out of your life and how we can help you achieve that. So please reach out. Betsy will give you the information, and know that you're never wrong to at least inform yourself, educate yourself on the law and what your options are. That frees you so much. Whether you're ready to take that step or not, at least you have the knowledge, and now you can make a better decision.
All right. Thank you so much, Heather. That was very informative. We are here for you, whether you have a question about divorce or other family law issues. Please reach out to us. Give us a call at 904-241-0012. Thank you so much for joining us.